Good evening, everybody. GameMasters here. And in the world of business, it is very important to advertise, but more important is to advertise properly. When you advertise a service and you receive money for that service, and then turn around and don't offer that service, don't fulfill that service, well, then your customers are going to revolt a little. Tonight, we are going to discuss the Vecna Eve of Ruin pre-order issues, and we're also going to fill out a Wizards of the Coast customer service survey. And joining me tonight is Timmy, the Goth in Rome, Cybermind, and Seraphis. Now, let's see. Timmy specifically has seen some firsthand action happen over these issues. Cybermind has as well. But for those of you that are not fully aware of what's going on, the gist of all of it is this. Wizards of the Coast tweeted out, and I'm going to go ahead and pull their tweet up so that you can all see it. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see the tweet itself. And it reads, "The Ultimate Evil returns to Dungeons & Dragons." This was done on April 30th, by the way. Pre-order the Vecna Eve of Ruin digital plus physical bundle now to unlock early access and additional perks on D&D Beyond. And it is from the marketplace. It even states here that it's from the marketplace, D&D Beyond. Of course, now I'm going to go ahead and click it and visit this. And you'll note that out of stock. No, it's just refreshing the page. You'll notice that if you do pre-order it now, you won't get it for another 9 days. But keep in mind, this was all supposed to drop for us on May 7th. In order to get this, you had to order both the physical and the digital, which I did. And in past videos, I've provided the screenshots and the receipts for those to show that I did actually purchase this. And this is really where things start to break down. When May 7th came and went, I didn't receive the early access like this advertises. I mean, it's still up. You can see it right here. Pre-order it. Unlock early access from Marketplace D&D Beyond. I followed their advertising. I didn't get what I paid for. And so you have what we're doing tonight. Let's see, Cybermind. I'd like to get a little input from you real quick. You were witness to some of this going on as well. Although you're actually international, and so you have a different portal to order from, right?
Yeah. So for me, it's the main thing I noticed the fact that on the D&D Beyond website, it doesn't have anything to do with early access anymore. That got taken down when the marketplace changed. There's the guide says April 30th, but I didn't notice any change until May 1st. But the Wizards of the Coast website still allows non-US customers and any other region to order to pre-order the bundle with early access for Vecna and the other one, the Infinite Staircase one.
Right.
So it seems like it's just the US customers who are being getting the short end of the stick.
Right. And I mean, one could argue, I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here. One could argue that, it's about time the US population got stuck with that stick. Everybody else, America always gets their books first because, that's where Wizards of the Coast is based. And, everybody, due to shipping and all of this, all other countries get it late. Okay. I'm not going to counter argue that particular argument. My stick in the craw is that, like what we see here on this on their own Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it these days, they advertise something and we paid for it, did not get it. It is just a bizarre mystery. Then to make things even worse, when that day came and went and I didn't get the me as well as others In fact, we have somebody here saying the exact same thing happened to them. We took it to Twitter or to Discord. Only the mods there, when I voiced my opinion on this and provided my feedback, they started deleting my posts, my messages in Discord, and that's what, of course, prompted me to bring all of this onto YouTube. Had that not happened, had they not deleted my comments, maybe just said, guys, we understand that there's an issue with the ordering process and the marketplace update screwed things up. We're working on a fix. Great. That would have at least acknowledged that there was something that that they were doing behind the scenes to make this right. No, instead they want to censor. They deleted comments. Now, Cyberman, I'm going to come back to you because you also made a post earlier today that got deleted.
Yeah, so I've noticed that messages in Discord are being deleted as well. Modo Stock from the forums did the same. We both made posts on the PSA forum that they have there to mention that, because Silver, one of the moderators there, was saying, a good place for feedback is the Discord forum. And we both replied to that saying, well, that can't be true because you're deleting comments. And I even posted your video showcasing that the comments were being deleted. And they were not comments that should have been deleted. They were polite comments. They were normal feedback. They were being deleted.
This was it right here, right? So they basically are saying, so your actual message was, bear with me, guys, I'm trying to get these all in a row here. So the mod basically came in and deleted your comment because you said, or they told you and suggested to go to Discord to provide feedback. And you said, well, we've tried that, but the mods there are deleting it. And then they in turn deleted your message on the actual D&D Beyond forums.
Yeah, and then they gave me an infraction, and that led to a forum ban for 7 days.
So you're actually banned from the forums for 7 days.
Yes, I had 10 points already because I'm a bit as I am, but this, whatever reason they had to delete this, was another 10 points on top, which was an automatic 7-day ban from the forums.
Wow!
Just to point out that
And this is the scary part, guys. In one of my videos, I actually recorded because I knew something was going to happen. I knew they were going to delete my comment again because you've got a set of mods here that honestly I feel are not competent enough to be able to do the job that they're being tasked to do. Your customer service, okay? You are an extension of customer service. If you are running a Discord, if you're running a forums group, these are official locations that reflect Wizards of the Coast, okay? Your responsibility is to make sure that the customers are having a good experience. Now, I get it. You know what? Somebody starts cussing you out, that's one thing. No foul language was ever used. The deletion of comments when somebody brought up the issue, when I brought up the issue that pre-orders were not working, their response was to delete the comment. It's, like I said, it is mind-boggling to me. I have no confidence in either the forums or their Discord at this point. I really don't. It's a, and I'm not trying to be sensationalistic. I'm not trying to be overly dramatic or anything. This is supposed to be, we have 3 modes of reaching out if we have an issue. The first one is their forums. The second is their Discord. And the third is an email, support at, bear with me here. I think it's support at D&D Beyond -support support.zendesk.com. That's their official email address to reach out. So we have 3 ways that we can reach out to get help. There's a whole different can of worms going on with the marketplace right now about what a lot of people would call microtransactions, but a la carte is what it's typically known as, where you can buy a portion of a book instead of the entire book. So if there's a subclass that you really wanted, you could buy it for $1 instead of having to spend $50 for the entire book or $30 for the entire book. They've removed that. I'm not going to get into that. That's for a completely separate video topic, but tonight is more the focus on their customer service. Timmy, you too have witnessed some firsthand. Well, I'll let you speak. I'll let you say how would you describe the experience seeing?
I'm gonna send you an image, and it'll be very ironic. Check. I took a screenshot of this like a while back, and it is. So my personal opinion is that they act way too childish when there is real world money at stake here, because I feel like what people forget, or what they might forget, is that this is money being paid, $80 precisely. This is not just someone in a playground, they take our stuff and we just cry about it. No, we're paying for these modules, and we're not getting what they specifically said we'd be getting. And
which
on top
is
of that,
specifically
they're
this right here.
silencing us.
Yeah.
Yes. On top of that, they are silencing us because we have complaints about it. And is that unreasonable that we would complain that we spent almost $100 on something and didn't get it on the day that they would say we would get it? I feel like this is not rocket science, and that they should realize that we have legitimate complaints, and that the more they try to silence us, the worse they make them and their whole corporation look. Because at the end of the day, customer service, just like the CEO, in some capacity, is a big reflection on how the company itself works. Because you don't interact with the CEO, you interact most with people at customer service.
Right.
So a bad impression with them can leave a bad impression on the company entirely. And just so you can see that image, someone was incompetent enough to put the digital pre-order as something that you get on May 7th, which was very interesting. And I talked to Latia about it, who was really nice about it. I think she was one of the best mods.
Let me break in real quick. I will say that of all the mods that I have interacted with, Latia has been the most level-headed customer service rep that I have interacted with. And I know that listen, I haven't been in customer service in the past. It's not an easy job. I get that. I understand that. You're dealing with a bunch of Karens. You know what? I'll consider myself a Karen for sake of this segment. You're dealing with a bunch of Karens all day long. I get that. That is mind-numbingly painful. She's done a great job. And that is the very definition of what a good mod is, of what a good customer service agent is. And if anything, that's the individual that needs to be rewarded with raises, with recognition. And also, that's the person that needs to be training all of the other people that are not fulfilling the task that they have been hired or supposed to be doing. But what's interesting here is you do see that it specifies pre-order the digital version of this adventure to receive pre-order the digital version. Doesn't say digital and physical. It does say digital. Early access releasing May 7th. I mean, what more can I say about it? I mean, it's, we've seen 2 advertisements now that show.
I have another piece of sorry for interrupting, but I have another thing. There's a post in a forum, I don't know written by who, let me try to find it, that says pre-order the digital plus physical, or the digital pre-order. It doesn't say just the digital plus physical.
I haven't seen that one, but if you can find it out while you're looking for that. Now, Seraphis, I know that you're not you don't have too much of a dog in this fight. I know you're pretty much anti WotC to begin with. But what kind of message? What message do you think that this really sends out to the fans that play it?
Well, I mean, I'd like to say that's funny to begin with, that you think that a corporation should be running like a meritocracy. They're just not. I mean, but like, I think another big problem is that people have been taken in for since 5th edition, since the boom from Strange Things, Critical Role.
Mm-hmm.
They've been taken in by this idea that WotC is your friend because they put forward people like Mike Mills, Chris Perkins,
Right.
Jeremy Crawford, who have a rapport with the community.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it makes people drop their guard rather than thinking of people of WotC like, say, EA or Bethesda, where you go, you know, you're not really my friend. You're trying to sell me a broken product.
Okay, so that is an excellent point, and I want to kind of build off of that for a second. So yeah, when you have that community outreach, and they all do videos to promote the game, you know, and they do come across as, you know, we want to be your friend, and so as a customer, you know, I buy into that, and I think it's great, you know, that we want nothing more than to have a company that seemingly sees us as something more than just a wallet or a purse full of money. And when we buy into their friendliness, we kind of expect that, you know. But when we get smacked in the face by a mod that just starts deleting stuff willy-nilly, that is an issue.
I found something, but it's not exactly. So they updated each forum. They removed the message, but I did find this, and this is incredibly egregious. I
Give me
sent you in
one.
DMs. I
got it. Yeah.
So this isn't the same as like saying, oh yeah, if you do download either or, you get it. But this is still crazy. Like this is something that should be done way beforehand.
Okay, it says this article was updated on May 2nd, 2024. It previously stated that digital plus physical bundle pre-orders received early access to the adventure on D&D Beyond. Only pre-orders for digital plus physical bundles made before April 30th are eligible for early access.
And this was one of on May 2nd.
Right, it was updated on May 2nd. So if you placed an order on April 30th or April 1st or at any point prior to May 2nd, whatever timestamp this particular update was done, you're out. You don't get, and that was one of my chief complaints in my latest video, was that, you know, you follow the chain from their tweet to the marketplace. Nowhere in any of that does it state that that there's a cutoff, you know, that early access was terminated on May 2nd or I'm sorry, April 30th. Nowhere does it state that. They're depending on us having read an article that was updated. I believe there were 2 articles, and one of them was actually published on April 30th. I think the other was published on April 22nd. Well, if I've already read it that morning, I have no reason to go back to it to read it again. Especially, I'm not going back to it and looking at the this little blurb that's buried at the bottom of that article, just in the off chance that maybe that article was updated. Oh, that's not how it works.
I am a person who doesn't really like surprises when it comes so suddenly. I like to be told things ahead of time so that I have time to prepare and time to like think about what's going to happen and like what can I do. And I think the fact that D&D Beyond not only didn't advise on April 30th, or if they did, it was like at the moment they had this change and didn't decide to tell everyone beforehand that not only will they'd be doing this change, but that people will not be eligible for it. Because the thing is, you can still buy the physical plus digital bundle. You can still spend $80. Imagine someone who bought the digital and physical bundle not knowing you don't get pre-order after April 30th, spending $80, thinking they'll get it early, and then then nothing.
That's
Like
what I did.
almost $100. Like I go at this again. I sound like a broken record, but that's a lot of money. I think what these mods don't get is that not all of us have just the money to spare. Like
Right.
we don't just like get money at the wild zoo. We have like, it's just tough.
So, okay. So speaking of money to spare, we have Goth and Rome in here too. And I kind of want to get your view on why you think WotC has done this.
All right, this is going to be a long story, so I apologize in advance.
I can't wait to
Tell
hear
us
it,
the
man.
story, Daddy.
Yeah. Whoa. Huh?
Right, so first off, I just want to clarify that WotC's problems are WotC's problems, Hasbro's problems are Hasbro's. They are not the same animal.
And this is all theoretical, correct?
Some of this is theoretical. I don't have exact numbers in some of this, and I'm not really intending to go into the numbers other than
Sure,
what is publicly available.
Sure.
But I think WotC is actually in a very dire financial situation. And let me explain this because, last year they reported record earnings, 1.45 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing to keep in mind is last year, Monopoly Go earned $2 billion. I don't know what portion of that went to WotC, but clearly not all 200 billion of it. Next up, you have the situation where things are showing up in clearance stores like always. And they've likely eaten some costs to sell it to a store like that. Frequently, if you are selling something to a clearance store, you will be selling it at a loss.
Mm-hmm.
The reason being is it is easier to eat a $10 loss than it is to eat a $20 loss. And maybe they broke even. I don't know. They likely sold this stuff in bulk just to empty warehouse space. And in this case, dare I say, this decision likely came from Hasbro, because I don't think WotC has that level of control over industrial infrastructure. Moving along from that, you also had Honor Amongst Thieves. Well, that movie, if you look at the budget for it, 150 million, and they earned 208 million. Well, slight problem. The part nobody talks about is that 150 million doesn't include the marketing. The other part nobody tells you is that 208 is what the theaters took in.
Right.
So on average, most marketing budgets are anywhere between 50 to 100% of the original creation cost. So all of a sudden, that movie cost 250 to 300 million. And in regards to theaters, if you are Disney, you can demand 60 to 70% of the theater's take just because you produce so much.
Right.
But they aren't Disney. They probably only got 50%. So you are looking at 108 million on an investment of 250 to 300. And that doesn't appear on last year's statement because the cost of producing that came years beforehand, and that marketing money was already allocated.
Right.
Oh, and just because, this isn't bad enough already, throw in Baldur's Gate 3. Sure, it netted them probably at least 200 million. But that's a one-time thing that was handled by a third party. Subtract that out of that 1.45 billion. And then you throw in your operating costs. And dare I say I think it is safe to say that the TTRPG side of things for WotC accounts for 60% of operating costs, and excluding things that are overlapped for the digital side, but more or less 60% of operating costs, 30% of profit. So much lower, rate of return. And now you are in a situation where this company has been, proclaiming our digital market is the future.
Mm-hmm.
And don't think of competition in this case as just being Mattel. It's going to sound odd to say it, but Hasbro isn't competing with Mattel. They are competing with Raytheon. They are competing with Walmart. They are competing with every other publicly traded company out there for investment dollars.
Right.
And speaking candidly, you've got to make a good bit of money to compete with some of those organizations right now, if you look at the state of the world. So all of a sudden, you're in a situation where you have royally screwed up the aspect of your business enterprise that you are saying is what is going to propel it to the future. So what's the best thing to do? Well, you ignore it and wait for the news cycle to move on. That's what I would have advised. Never said I was the good guy.
Well, and so that, yeah, I mean, and that brings up, okay, so they have always, Wizard of the Coast, with their most recent books. If you did the pre-order with most of them, you got the digital release early. They started doing this. I honestly can't remember what specific book they did, but most of them were, or most recent ones that I can recall, have all had that early release. What we have been trying to figure out is, why would they dig their heels in so tight that they refuse to honor this advertised early access?
There is one thing I can point out in that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Different countries have different laws in regards to questionable marketing. And you might have noticed that only one nation was really impacted, and it's the nation with the most flexible rules regarding misleading marketing. So just going to throw that out there for
No,
consideration.
that's kind of where I was going with it. Yeah, kind of where I was going with it.
I just
So-
want to add to that because I worked in companies in customer services and advertising and so on, and that is very on the rules for the UK and the rules for the US regarding misleading advertising is very different.
Yeah.
I mean, a
Yeah.
good case study to look at with this one, just to throw into another thing in the entertainment industry, would have been, I believe, Fallout 76, where you had a game released that
Yeah.
barely qualified as a game.
Yeah.
In the I think a case was actually won against Bethesda in the US, making it the first time a case was won against a video game studio that wasn't about issues related to shareholders in the company.
Wow.
Basically, I think there was
That's
one that was
great.
producing a game that didn't actually exist, and they got hit. But other than that, you don't see much in the entertainment industry get hit in the US. It's just
That's-
too hard to prosecute it.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to use this as a segue to go to jump into the survey itself. Give me half a second here. I want to go ahead and share that screen.
Right. Also, someone said in the chat, wasn't there some sort of controversy that hit Magic 2? Possible impacts on the whole business side, not just D&D side? Well, here's the thing I have to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's not pretend that D&D isn't the black horse of WotC. Like, D&D is the big part of WotC. Like, Magic the Gathering doesn't have nearly as much attention or money earned from WotC. Now, there could
I
be a
don't know
lot of
about that.
controversy. I think because I would say that, like, because given all the shares, I mean, I'm not like a business person, I can't say for sure, but given how much attention like a lot of WotC products put for D&D, now I know that like lore wise and a lot like in a lot of other cases, WotC and D&D like share or like no WotC and Magic and D&D share a lot of like connections, crossovers and stuff because they essentially happen in like the same quote unquote multiverse or metaverse, whatever. I do think that if WotC was impacted by Magic the Gathering, it would probably be like the straw that broke the camel's back. Like if WotC pulled something like they did with Eve of Ruin for Magic the Gathering, I think they definitely would like tumble and fall. I think that would be so over for them. But I've had multiple Magic the Gathering card sets, and I think the thing is because adventure modules and source books for D&D don't cost as much, or typically don't cost as much as like your typical card set for Magic the Gathering, and because those things can range from like $30 to $80 easily. While Magic
Yeah,
the
but
Gathering
keep in
card sets are
mind,
like,
do keep in mind that the cards themselves, they only cost Wizards, Wizard of the Coast or Hasbro, whoever is actually fronting the money for it, only costs them about 4
True.
cents a card.
yeah. So that's why I'm
So
saying like,
you've
I
got a
feel like,
perceived value there that
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, with the books, with the D&D books, and this is where the big difference is. With the D&D books, there is typically a pretty set cost to print on the paper and the book binding and that, and then you've got the cost of the physical shipping from overseas to get those books, distributed. With digital, you don't have that cost incurred. That digital is quite literally, it just sits in a cloud server. Somebody pushes a button and it distributes that to whomever has made that purchase.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, okay, so here we go. We've got,
let's hit up the survey.
So to let me find my survey now. Here we go. Okay. So the first email that I got, or that I sent to them was, me kind of complaining, hey, I paid for this. I didn't get it. They responded back with this email. And it states that you do get access to Vecna Nest of the Eldritch Eye, but in order to, at that point, I then responded back to them and said, but I ordered both of them. And I got this back from them. We appreciate you providing that information and apologies for any confusion. D&D Marketplace does not currently provide early access to Vecna Eve of Ruin. This offer was only available on the D&D store through digital and physical bundle purchasers. Well, I purchased both the digital and physical, and as I showed in the start of this particular live stream, we've shown an advertisement that specifically says go to the marketplace to purchase it. So then I get this email. Recently spoke with our customer service team on this ticket, and we'd love to hear about your experience. Our survey should only take 2 minutes. So we've only got 2 minutes here. And your feedback will help ensure our team continues to give all our customers the best service possible. How would you rate this? So what areas affected your score?
Lack of professionalism.
So lack of friendliness. Well, I mean, I did have some stuff deleted, and keep in mind, I am basing this off of the customer service. So when I get y'all's input, I want y'all to reflect on the customer service element of it, not the bait and switch and the false advertisement of it, although that may come into play as we move through this. So lack of friendliness. Well, okay. So I did have some stuff deleted. I was censored. Lack of professionalism. Well, that kind of falls under that as well.
I would say personally a lack of professionalism, because the way our customer service people treated us was very unprofessional. Like, there is a lot of opportunities for them to take it, like, be the bigger person, be like, okay,
Right.
here's what's happening, here's the situation, rather than acting,
Correct.
frankly,
Correct.
childishly.
Correct.
That was not professional. I would say that over friendliness, because for me, I don't really care about friendliness. I mean, it's always important to, like, be friendly in customer service, but so long as I get the information I need, or
Right.
I tell them,
Hey, I may
like,
not like the
yeah.
information that you're giving me, but if it's the right information, I'm going to at least respect that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And in
So
this
I think
instance,
lack of
they just
professionalism.
completely took it off. Okay, so I think we can go with lack of professionalism.
Yeah. The response time was crazy, though. It was pretty good.
Do you feel
No,
like
they
we
didn't.
resolved your issue? I think that's a pretty resounding no.
They created more issues than was recommended.
How likely are you to recommend Wizards of the Coast products to a friend or colleague?
Products, as in, like, all the books, right? Like,
Yeah, products, yeah.
Listen, here's the thing. As much as we might hate Wizards of the Coast, they still do own D&D and Magic the Gathering. And as much as we might hate on them, we are people who invest a lot in these products. So I think, regardless of what we see of them, if we're being absolutely honest, I do think we could recommend it still. Like, D&D is still fun.
It is still fun, but would it be? I really don't think it would fall into very
No.
likely.
I think like a 6, me
Seraphis,
personally.
let me ask. Okay, I'm going to ask a panel here, the whole panel. Seraphis, in your day-to-day life, how often? It's a two-part question, and I'm going to ask the same question of everybody. In your day-to-day life, how often does gaming just organically pop up in any given conversation that you have with anybody, a coworker, a friend, a parent, a relative? How often does that come up?
Well, with my partner and relatives and friends, probably daily.
Okay, fair enough. Cybermind.
Um, it's kind of hard for me to say because I don't really go out much at all. So I'm pretty much a hermit. But I have very few friends who have the same interests as me in this town.
Okay,
The only person I ever used to speak to was either my best friend, who I still do, but he's got other issues right now, and my brother, who's gone. So in a day-to-day life, it wouldn't be day-to-day. I speak about D&D personally with people once every few months,
okay, okay.
less.
Goth and Rome. How about you?
Only really with friends professionally. That's not something that comes up at all.
Okay, and Timmy, how about you?
Uh, like not that often. Like with friends, I'm on the Gen Z side of the
Sure.
demographic. So I would say like an hour a day, like on average. Not that much. Like I talk to my friends a lot, but gaming and the D&D especially is like it doesn't come up that often.
Right. So a little unique, and I think it is kind of unique for all of us in that, if we're all part of Discord, if we're all part of a Wizards forum or whatever, we're probably talking about role playing games a little more often than your average individual. But how often does Wizards of the Coast product specifically come up in those conversations? Well, I mean, if I'm talking about Dungeons and Dragons, okay, yeah, it's kind of, for me, it's a day to day, it is a daily topic because I am in Discord every single day. And, I always start the morning, hey, morning all. And, we BS throughout the day. And it's usually D&D based stuff, although I am, kind of branching out into other systems. But how often the topic of me recommending products, that's not very often. Although I am a big fan and I do recommend Free League, and I know Seraphis is big on recommending the Cipher system. That's the circle that Seraphis runs in, and right now, this is a tough one. I mean, how likely am I to recommend Wizard of the Coast products to a friend or colleague? I'm not going to recommend Magic to anybody because I've been out of the Magic scene for a number of years. So that would be a very unlikely for me. How likely would I be to recommend a D&D product to a friend or colleague? Even in my general day-to-day conversation, I don't think I'm going to recommend it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to reminisce about some fun that we've had, but I don't know that I'm going to go out of my way and go, hey, you got to check out Vecna Eve of Ruin. You can pre-order it and not get the digital early access. So I think, for me, to be fair, I think I would actually have to hit a 3 on this.
Yeah.
Would you consider the D&D Beyond tool sets, not necessarily the book, but like the tool sets, the character builder and encounter builder? Would you
That's
recommend
fair.
those at all?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, and that I know too is a completely different set of topic and issues with D&D Beyond. The tool sets are awesome, and I know that they've removed the a la carte bits.
Yeah.
That's something I want to get into, but that's not tonight because that's I feel like
I
that is a
would
whole different
say
can of worms.
I think it's
Uh,
still a 3 though, because how often do you actually recommend D&D Beyond? Because most D&D players actually have it or just don't use it.
right.
And we don't play D&D that often. Like maybe like once a week at most, maybe twice if like you're really into it. But I think to think about like how much you recommend it So not rather recommending it, just asking your players to have it, you know.
Well, but Cybermind, what you ask though is a really good question because, and I'm trying to think back, back at least a couple of years. I it almost was a very often discussion that we would have is at the table. So I am not a big VTT fan. I'm not a big fan of digital content. I prefer to have the hardback book in my hand. I can appreciate the material being online. It does make it easier to find, and it takes some of the guesswork out of the ruling, and I do like that. And so when my players were building characters, I did recommend to them to use the character builder on D&D Beyond. This was, like I said, again, a couple of years back. So at that point, I probably would have hovered closer around between maybe 6 or 7, possibly an 8. Right now, taking into account that what they've done, this bad practice, I think I'm going to still stick with a 3.
Understandable.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, like if I was doing this by say a year or 2 ago, even with the OGL stuff, I would still put it as around about 5. But yeah, given that we've had the OGL crap and piecemeal stuff, and now this false type of advertising, 2 or 3 would be my guess.
And I am taking into account on this, this is all they're wanting me to rate their customer service, and I'm putting, and this is the only reason that I'm not jumping up to a 4 and keeping it at a 3. I'm tempted to go to a 2, but I'm keeping it at a 3 is because I am specifically tying their customer service to what we're doing here. They didn't resolve the issue that I had, that many people had. They did not even acknowledge that they did anything wrong when we've clearly shown screenshots, timestamps, plenty of evidence that they advertised something. And there was even a screenshot I've got in one of my videos that shows one of the mods in the forums admitting that it was the marketplace update that broke this pre-order system. So through no fault of ours, damn, now I'm tempted to go down to a 1. I'm going to lock in on 3 before I convince myself otherwise.
Might I add something real quick?
Yeah.
So we all know content sharing, right? It's something you get a master tier subscription. You can share all modules with your friends that you own with your group,
Right.
and if they own something, you have it too. A very kind individual, I will shout out their name, Weird Wizard, shared with me the Vecna Eve of Ruin through content sharing. But there's something weird going on with that. I am able to access the book, Vecna Eve of Ruin, and also older ones like the Book of Many Things. And anytime, you know how in the books they have links to the monsters involved?
Yes.
And you click on it and it sends you to like the description. Anytime I click on a monster's name in the book when I'm reading it, it sends me to the marketplace.
Yep.
And I wasn't able to read their stat blocks in any encounter modules, anything else. Like I could only read the book. Obviously their stat blocks are in the book, but anywhere else, the information wasn't there. And furthermore, you could make, even with content sharing, you could use, like, you know how you can make homebrew items and use like a reference, like the raw to certain parts, use that as a reference. They don't have that anymore. And I think this is a sign, like the 7 trumpets, where something's going to happen. You know how Netflix out of nowhere just said, you know what, you can't share your users anymore? I very much fear that the same thing's going to happen. I feel like Wizards of the Coast is desperate for money, and I think they're gonna. I really hope not, but I feel like they're gonna do it because they need more money. They need. More
I would
people to
bet
buy
my
things.
life that is going to happen.
Yep.
If they,
the fact that they've taken
over.
away, the fact that they have taken away a la carte, that is definitely the direction that I see them heading. So it asks here.
I really want to do a boycott. Like I genuinely, I can't.
Oh, I think that'll happen. Yeah, I think if they just try to do that That's how I got early access. So somebody actually shared it with me, and I was able to access it through that shared with a character of mine on D&D Beyond, and I'm very grateful for that. But yes, I definitely see that could be an avenue that they go down. Dr. J, if
These
they
are not
do
very
remove the
good.
content share, I will lose my mind and raise heck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. And this is one of the reasons why I'm very much against digital content is, guys, you spend this money and there's nothing to stop them from just flipping that switch and you no longer have access to it. You've spent all the money, but you will never own that content.
See, this is why I have an
Yeah.
extension that allows me to convert websites into PDFs, which I have been doing for every book I have access to
Ooh.
on Wizards of the
I'm
Coast.
not
Oh,
not
you
going to
should-
talk about that. I
Which is
understand,
legal, by the way. So,
but
it is-
Seraphis, yes.
Yeah, on that note, I actually wanted to bring something up. You say about that, but like for the last how many years, Cynthia Williams has been in control of WotC,
Hmm.
who came from Microsoft,
Right,
who came from their games division.
right.
During the
Wow,
time
go figure.
when, pre-order bonuses and
Microtransactions, yeah.
and early access bonuses
Yeah.
were introduced.
Yep.
And now you're wondering, if it's going to be the same here. Consider for the next 3 years, probably going to be part of what's his policy, even after she's gone.
Of interest that you bring that up, they have not selected another president yet. So
Which is really weird. But do
And,
keep in mind, Seraphis, that they did eliminate more or less microtransactions. That's what the a la carte purchase was all about. You could
Yeah, but
purchase a part
In
of
that
a
of
book.
itself is kind of a microtransaction, though. You
Yeah.
might
Well,
not be purposely
okay,
buying
yeah,
the whole
yeah,
book,
yeah,
but you're
yeah,
buying
right.
bits of it.
Right. That's what they've eliminated. So they're no longer allowing you to buy bits of it. They're now trying to funnel you into, and I think their thinking is that, well, if we cut that out, then that'll just force them to buy the whole book.
I feel like, okay, so with the content sharing thing, here is a big issue if they do that, because unlike with Netflix, where you can share accounts, you already have a subscription, but the subscription isn't about sharing accounts for Netflix.
Right.
With content sharing, you pay $5 a month for content sharing. If they remove that, I think they could get sued, because that would be removing an aspect of a subscription that people pay $5 a month, $25 every 6 months, or
Would you put
$50 a
it past
year.
them? Would you put it past them to alter that subscription tier?
No, but I would say that it could be possible that people either revolt or something happens like legally.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I
legal action can be taken, but
Is that in their legal? Is that part of the contract?
I
Because
would
they
almost
constantly
guarantee
change
that
them.
that contract has something in there so that it can be changed with notice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
that really
So-
sucks.
They would be absolute idiots if they didn't have that.
But yeah.
So they ask, where can we improve and what did you like about our customer service? Watch this.
Oh, that's absolutely
Let's
diabolical.
see. Videos.
Are we feeling generous? Should we give them a 1 instead of a 0, or should we just give them a 0? Be honest with ourselves.
Share. Copy. Then watch this.
Oh,
And I think you will have a full picture.
I think you need to be a bit more colorful. I think
no.
you have that, and then it's like, and then once you watch these, you will truly understand the delightful experience, which I can only truly compare to having a catheter lubricated with Tabasco and razor blades violently inserted into my urethra.
But I
using a
like
jackhammer
Tabasco, though.
wielded by a meth head with 3-year-old's hand-eye coordination. Something tells me they might not like that.
You good sir have a lot of passion in this. I think. Oh my god, That's crazy.
So that's what I think
Did
you'll
you
have
like
a
this,
full
Eric?
Who
picture
cares?
and
I
understanding
do.
of the
I love
customer
it. I love
service
it.
that I experienced.
Who cares if they don't like the message? Though?
How
You know what I
easy
mean?
did Wizard of the Coast make it for me to handle my issue?
0.
Yeah, it was very difficult. I mean,
Should we
I had the
be?
issue. I took it to a place. I got censored. I took it to a second place. I took it, to the email, and they said no. I sent a secondary email, and they again just dug in deeper. So this one very difficult.
Yeah, and our guy here got a 7 day ban on the forum just for bringing light to it. So yeah,
Right.
Yep.
a ban is
Thank you
crazy
for your
though.
reply. Survey is complete. You can now close the page. So I don't know. Do I think I'm going to hear anything back from it? Probably not.
No.
I mean, that's
No,
just
you never
you
hear
don't
anything from
hear.
those
I mean,
surveys.
in any customer survey that you guys have ever filled out, have you ever gotten a response
Not
back
even
about
no, not even
anything
from
you
small
complained about?
companies.
Yeah,
Not
I
even
have
from
gotten responses back from things that I have complained on, and I've
Really?
actually gotten very satisfactory responses back.
Yeah.
But it usually involves calling the company. If you
Yeah,
call
no.
them, unfortunately, I will tell you that they just send you directly to an answering service.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you're not
Flint
getting a hold of someone.
Fireforge. Someone says if the microtransactions come back, we'll know that people were not buying the books. I mean, yeah, but also like you shouldn't like if you have that as an option, you shouldn't obligate people to just buy the books instead. Like you can, but like if you can choose between one or the other, people should be able to have a choice if you're allowing it. If
Yeah.
not, then that's up to you. But don't give people like don't do a bait and switch. Don't like put the fish hook in the water and then reel it back before any fish bites onto it.
And that's
That's
pretty much what they did. So, guys, I want to thank everybody that's joined in. We're encroaching upon a 1 hour here, and I kind of want to get out and check out the Northern Lights again tonight. But before we go, I want to give everybody a major shout out. Seraphis, you are you're pushing out some great content. I'm entertained by what you're doing. Cybermind, you have been a big help to me in this. You've pushed out a couple of marketplace videos, and by the way, guys, I had mentioned earlier too that the whole microtransaction or a la carte purchases and all that stuff with the marketplace update. If you want to know more about that, definitely recommend checking out Cybermind's videos. And once this is all said and done and the stream ends, I'm going to populate links to everybody so that you can go check out their websites or their YouTube pages as well. But Cybermind did some really good stuff on the marketplace update and the other issues that are going on there. Goth and Rome, you've got a good website. Come on, Brian, figure it out. Where are we at? We're on YouTube. You've got a good YouTube going on where you dive deep into politics and business. Oh yeah, and I gotta say, yeah, I appreciate that. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. And then Timmy, I don't know if you have a YouTube, but I will say that Timmy is in our Discord, in the GameMasters Discord, and if you guys want to check out some custom stat blocks that Timmy is coming up, because let's face it, the ones that are in Vecna Eve of Ruin, they're kind of small. They're not very powerful for 20th level characters to be taking on. So Timmy is fixing that.
Yes.
And these stat blocks are amazing. I mean, they're really,
I'm going
really
to
good.
be
Very well thought out.
actually doing a post in D&D Beyond's forums with all of the stat blocks that I'm going to be making. I'm going to be doing bit spoilers, every single stat block from the character dossier.
Nice.
Some very like freshly new ones, and some just like minor changes, some major changes, and yeah.
Nice. Well,
That'll be fun.
okay. So that I want everybody to just give me a quick 30-second. Yeah.
Yeah.
Therapist, we'll start with you.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been up since 3 a.m. watching Eurovision. I don't know things, so Yeah. Yeah.
Good enough. Goth and Rome, how about you? What have you got going on that folks need to check out?
Well, my uploading schedule is really random right now due to, well, it's an election season work. But the next video I'm intending to put out is on Hasbro and WotC. Basically, just as a stepping stone to actually be able to cover Disney.
Understood. Yeah. Okay. Timmy, I know you just kind of gave us a little bit about what you were doing. Anything else?
Yeah. Stay tuned because stat blocks aren't the only thing I'm going to be helping people out with Vecna Ruin. Just stay tuned on D&D Beyond forums, and yeah.
Nice. And Cybermind.
Yeah, I don't really have much going on other than a few videos that I tend to make when I can. Just like workaround stuff on homebrew on D&D Beyond, and I am covering stuff about this latest crap show, mostly because I hope it gets fixed and I can continue liking D&D Beyond, which I normally do.
So, okay, but I will ask this one real quick question. So even though you were banned for 7 days, 8 days from the forums, you still do have access to D&D Beyond, right?
Yes, I can still read forum posts and all that stuff and private messages and
you
all
just can't
tools.
post on there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, I can't thank you all enough. It's been a wild ride. You know, I've reached out to a couple of people that are larger than me to see if there's any traction that we can get. I'm going to share this one last thing real quick. Because, you know, listen, at the end of the day, I feel like several people got shafted in this, and I don't like that. That's kind of the general principle of it. So until next our paths cross, this episode is complete, and you can now close the page. Have a good night, everyone.
Nice.
Good night.
Bye.